What's up, everybody? In the time since we went live, I fully set up two-factor authentication. That was a journey. I'm gonna explain before I get into the whole stop with the paper dungeon. I'm live on the channel right now. I'm live right now. You can see me. You clicked on the paper dungeon, so you know that you're watching the paper dungeon. It's on the bottom right of the screen. You see it. For some reason, I pressed the go live. I was like, I'll send a message in the chat. I'm like, press enter, and they're like, who is this? And I'm like, it's the paper dungeon. They're like, no, it isn't. You can't prove that. I'm like, well, I can. I pressed to go live. You know that it's the paper dungeon. They're like, I don't know who you are. But anyway, hello, welcome to the Paper Dungeon. This is Table Scraps. This is a show that I run on Thursdays, talk about the show that we run on Mondays, as well as anything else that's going on in the Paper Dungeon, / TTRPG stuff in general. Or do we just eventually talk about random stuff, whatever happens to interest us. Sometimes it's Twilight, sometimes it's, I don't know, it's mainly Twilight. Thank you, Handscape, for putting so many plugs. These are the plugs. This is what they are. We have a Discord. If you're not in the Discord, I don't know what you're doing. It's a fantastic place where you can get recipes that Handscape sends and occasionally other people, but mainly Handscape. And just talk to us all the time. We say good morning every day. It's a good place to just, see some people, talk to them. It's a great time. I stream over there sometimes playing, backyard baseball and stuff. We also have social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. They're a bit slow right now because I am learning, but Grant can attest I had a revelation as to how to make content easier. So hopefully I will do that. We also have a website where we have a merch store. You can buy merch with our cool logo and stuff on it and all sorts of rad things like that. Speaking of stores, Lydia Corinne, the one who did all of our overlays, all of our character art, all of our anything art-wise on the stream is done by Lydia Corinne. She's an incredible artist. You can get her art on different printed things like pillows and shirts, crop tops at lydiacorinne.com. We also have a YouTube. You should watch us over there. It's a good place to catch up if you're a little bit behind. All of our videos are very well organized. Grant does a very good job. If you want to support us in other ways, we have lots of ways to do it. We have Streamlabs donations, we have Ko-Fi, and we have Patreon. Patreon is the big topic of interest today, due to the fact that this past Monday, we unfortunately were not able to have an episode of the main campaign because some really heartbreaking stuff happened in Lydia's personal life, so she wasn't able to be there, and Grant and all of the rest of us honestly kind of agreed, hey, we should probably spend some time with Lydia. So instead of that, we have prepared for things like this. We record Patreon videos ahead of time that are also used as backup of videos when things go horribly wrong. And it's oh God, what are we going to do tonight? Don't worry, we have a backup. That, if you watched this past Monday, it's a little one-page RPG that I've talked a lot about. I've been very excited to play it, called Sexy Battle Wizards. It was originally meant to be the Patreon content for, I believe, this month. Unfortunately, well, I guess it's not exactly that unfortunate, because just more people get to see it than... we used it on Monday. It was an absolute blast to play. A fantastic RPG by, I want to say, Grant Howitt? Howell? Hewitt? You can find them if you search one-page RPGs. They're one of the biggest and best producers of the one-page RPG. That's what they do. You can also find it on our Discord. I've posted links to them in the past, so check them out. They released another one recently that looks super rad where you just play a hot werewolf. Really, really, really good TTRPG maker. But the game is exactly what it sounds like. You play sexy battle wizards that do hot things that include magic or battle. Welcome to Sexy Battle Wizards. In this story, a cool thing about the RPG is it includes a way to roll an adventure. So you have two things that stand in the way of the enemies. What is the thing that they first are presented to? Sorry, had to do some management. But yeah, you have a first thing that presents a challenge to the players, and then a second thing that is the underlying threat that pops up towards the end of the adventure. And it's meant so that way you can run this in a short one-shot like we did, but it's also possible to run like whole campaigns off of this. You kind of have to get a little creative with how does getting stronger work or anything like that. But it's just an all-around really well-crafted RPG, and it was a super fun time to play. All of the characters had different shticks for what type of sexy wizard are they. Lydia played Muscle Mommy Jessica Rabbit. Grant, this is like Grant's dream game. This allows Grant to truly shine in his element. I don't even know what trope Grant was. Hot German supermodel, I guess. But it was oh my goodness. Was it a German accent, or it wasn't the French one. There have been so many accents recently. I don't even know. I can't even remember what all is going on. But yes, Grant as Dutch maybe. It was so. I think it was like a German-esque accent. Oh boy. DJ played a stoically handsome rustic cowboy, and Drew was just a pure muscle man. He was a bodybuilder to the core, absolutely massive gains. I don't know what else to call it. But together they fought through. They were just lounging around one simple day when all of a sudden elementals began an attack in the library. They were stopped by a logistical kind of librarian-esque, like, you have to go through the proper channels to do this. They masterfully subverted that. And then, after defeating the elementals in the library, through multiple different means, all of them kind of took on their own element. That there was 4 of them, 4 elements. It was a great time. It was like the Avatar: The Last Airbender, except way hotter. Turns out, the Summer Queen, one of the Fae, had conjured a massive elemental to deal with the city, because they believed the city to be unguarded, and the dean of the city, it was also a college, would have to be dealing with the Summer Queen while the elemental tore the city down. But the wonderful adventurers that we had were able to fully defeat and push away the advances of this massive, jacked earth golem. It was a great time. I had an absolute blast DMing it. It's so easy to run. I am excited, and I would like to play more one-page RPGs, just in general. That's just a thing that I would like. I dropped a thing. Hold on. Real classy, Aaron. Yeah. But yeah, so if you haven't seen that, that is what our Patreon content is sometimes like. Patreon is a fun place where we get to play games that we don't normally play on the channel, and we get to be a bit more free-flowing with it. Things don't have to be as, you know, professional, to give it a word. But yeah, now as for what exactly will be happening this month on Patreon, I'm not entirely sure. Since we used this month's Patreon video for the main channel, there is a chance that we won't have a video to release this month. Hopefully we will. We have a meeting tonight to go over we have bi-monthly meetings here at the Paper Dungeon, to go over, like, what are things that we need to do in the next 2 months, and one of them, there's a good chance that it's like, are we able to record another video this month to release this month, as well as an additional recording to have in the pocket for next month. So hopefully we will have another one, but I can't at the moment guarantee that. By the way, I'm sure it'll be okay. I'm working on increasing production of Patreon videos. This week has been a lot of work for me because it was the least work that I've had this month. Where this week I only had like 22 hours of actual work hours. So I've been able to do a bunch of Paper Dungeon stuff. So that's super fun. I also went to the dentist, which is entirely beside the point. But I mentioned it on the Discord. I'm going to talk about it. It is so thrilling. You don't think this when you're like growing up. But like at some point in time you realize how fun it is to go, I choose to go to a doctor and I can afford to do so. It's pretty rad. Like one day I woke up, I was like, I need to go to the dentist. And then I scheduled an appointment for the dentist. And I have, for the first time, insurance. That's neat. And then I went to the dentist. It was easy. It was awesome. I'm probably going to do that more. But yeah, so other than dentist time, this week has been pretty lax, but also pretty work filled. Now, as for main campaign, this is probably going to be a pretty short stream, just due to the fact that we haven't had a whole lot of live time. Main campaign, assuming all goes well, no more tragedy occurs, everyone is safe and healthy and super pumped to be there. We will be back with the main campaign. Also, apologies for missing Table Scraps last week. I was playing racquetball, and I don't regret it, because I don't get to play racquetball very often, and I wanted to. So take that, people who are loyal and enjoy coming to stream. Haha! That's not a joke. I was playing racquetball last week. What did we do the Monday before that? Oh, shoot! We did have a main campaign episode that I can talk about. I forgot, since we didn't stream last week, that we had a main campaign episode 2 Mondays ago. Well, in that episode, if I am remembering correctly, it was pretty much just a journey from the home base of the main characters, Gambit's Keep, over to the Scholar's Guide, a library we would be using the door to get into the plane of Pandemonium, where hopefully we will find the plains of Illaver, I think? Something like that. And find an old soldier's possessions that we can then use to resurrect them. Whew, that was a journey. First off, yes, that is very true. Catherine did break my teleportation circle. Those were imported. Alright? That's not cheap. Abinthy's heart weeps. Alright? That teleportation circle, oh man, that's rough, buddy. That's rough. So we travel on the Dead King's Horde, a flying boat, over to the Scholar's Guide, and on the way there, this past episode, DJ had a really rough day. It was speaking of sadness and tragedy, 2 weeks ago, DJ was not having a good time. It was a bad day, and so we all kind of agreed, like, alright, no problem, DJ, we're gonna fill this time with stuff. And so Abinthy invited everyone to, hey, maybe we can use this time to teach the other members of the group something, like some skill that we have. Like, I know how to weave. Catherine knows how to sword fight. I'd assumed that Edward was going to teach us how to play an instrument. I was wrong. It was public speaking. Who would have seen that one coming? I sure did not. But let me tell you, Renaya was just flat out mean. Like, oof, that was aggressive. She was aggressive. This 2 Mondays ago. Like, it was fun, but wow, I was scared. Aaron was scared, not the character. Aaron was scared. I was having a blast, terrified the whole time, 24/7, 365. So that was, I suppose, if you were looking at it as a story arc, that was the threat of this single episode story arc. For the most part, it all turned out okay. We made it to the Scholar's Guide. We only got 2 lessons from the group, which I am just devastated that we didn't get a full 4 ad-libbed lessons from the characters. But I'll respect it. As I mentioned, Edward taught the group how to speak in public. Yes, Rinny absolutely deserves an angry moment. And I'm not upset about it. Abinthy had an angry moment. I'm just saying, it was terrifying. Like, ooh, I don't know if it's the same for like people watching. If you've ever played in a game where one of the characters is like so mad that you're sitting there and you're like, I know that this is a game, I am still scared. That's what it was. I was sitting here, I was like, oh god, oh, this is terrifying. Still very good. Not upset about it. It was fantastic role playing. Terrifying. Oh my goodness. I'm still sweating, and it's like 2 weeks. 2 weeks have passed. Oh yeah, very, very good. There was also a lot of like really good comedy and funny and joyful things that came from it or related to it. Sometimes just seeing characters being absolutely terrified and unaware of what to do is also very funny. But yes, very Demon Prince. My favorite moment in the episode, especially from Lydia, was at the very beginning. I play a cruel trick as Aaron. I prey on people's nostalgia, where I bring up I ask Renaya what her orcish name is, because I know Cather's and I know Edward's, and I was just wondering if Renaya had one. Little did they know, I did know that she had one because I was the one that gave it to her. Haha! And so when Renaya said her name, the Red Dawn, the Crimson Dawn, Abinthy repeated a little snippet of something that he had wrote, which I have it here with my poor light with my aging eyes. The Red Dawn is an imperceivable moment, a moment when all of creation holds its breath and prays for the day's new beginning. It is a space between clasped hands, the light of a guttering candle, a blade balanced on edge. It is beautiful and terrible, kind and cruel, the impossible reality of a perfect imperfection, which is the exact same thing that Track said to her when he gave her the name. Reason being, Abinthy was the one who wrote it. And mind you, I knew this when I gave Renaya the name. I knew that I had wanted the thing that was said to her to have been written by Abinthy. And so I've been holding that in my pocket, waiting for it. And so then she got really sad, and Abinthy doesn't know why. And so Abinthy's like, oh shoot, maybe I shouldn't have brought this up. Like, have I done something wrong? He is panicking. Abinthy is not good with people. If you notice when Abinthy is speaking to people in general, he's best speaking to people when his life is on the line. When it's like normal emotion, Abinthy doesn't know what to deal with it. Because he's traveled alone since he was 12. He hasn't really had a lot of time to experience getting to know people. Hello, Maz, welcome. We're talking about 2 weeks ago. So when Abinthy is confronted with emotions that he doesn't understand, he has absolutely zero idea what to do with it. And the scary thing is, the person that he looks to first for advice is Edward, which is one of the worst possible decisions that you could make as a person. But yeah, Abinthy, I really want to play. I feel like I've been failing up until this point to explain that Abenthy's charisma is like an 11. Like it's at best the bare minimum of average, where he can maintain a normal conversation with a shopkeeper and not have them be incredibly bored or incredibly upset. When he's talking with gods and demons and ancient evils, he has no problem with it, because then he can match them. He can play up to their like boisterous energy and be like, not only should you not ignore me or discount me, there's a potential that you should fear me. He can play that fine. But oh boy, when like someone's just sad because someone died, totally no idea what to do. So, and like, not to mention, it's not exactly a good idea to ask the person who needs help how you should help them when they're actively upset. And so he's like, hey, should I leave? Should I stay? Okay, both of the answers were no. I'm going to go ask and get help. And so he leaves, he comes back with Edward. And then Renaya is placid. Like stone cold, like she had never been upset. Super cool role-playing by Lydia. That was like my favorite role-playing that she did, which really shows that the like demon prince like torture and terrible like existence that has been her life for the 3 years has really affected her emotionally as well. But where it's like, if an emotion that appears to her would be potentially harmful or reveal some form of weakness, she like shuts it out the moment she realizes that it could be a problem, which is super cool. Aaron noticed, Abenthy does not. Abenthy's just weirded out. I want you all to know, I'm not that crazy. I know what happened. Abenthy does not. Abenthy's kind of a fool when it comes to emotions. He's like, oh, thank God she realized that she was crying and was like, I need to stop that, because I don't know how that was gonna happen. I thought it was a very good episode. Mind you, it was terrifying the whole time. I was more scared that episode than I have been in the full like 2.5 years that we've been playing this game. Like, oh boy, that was spooky. Loved the lesson from Edward as to how to talk in public. Thought that was absolutely hilarious. I enjoyed teaching Abenthy's lesson about magic, because mind you, everything that I do is for an end goal that I will eventually present at some point in time. And all of this, everything I've done, is just a lead up to a larger game plan. I'm diabolical. But still, very, very fun lessons all around. We get to the Scholar's Guide, and lo and behold, who is there? It's Cather's sister. There she is. And she's like, hey, I want to go on this journey with you. Cather's like, no. What? What? And I find it really funny. I talked with Grant a little bit, and both of us were in agreement that like Cather is totally right here. Like it's not like he can't Also, Maz, sounds impeccable. Sorry, I was reading chat. I've been reading it, but I didn't think there was a time for me to interject. That's just really cool, Maz. But like I'm on Cather's side here, right? Not because I'm like, oh, she won't be able to handle herself in the plane of pandemonium, or like anything like that. Honestly, she's probably gonna fare better than we will. But here's the thing: if bad things happen, and Cather's sister gets like horribly hurt or dies, Cather's gone, dog. Like, Cather's not gonna... We've been like pushing Cather up the hill to self-confidence for the past, like, 18 episodes or something. Dog, he's gonna get Sisyphus if anything bad happens to his sister. Like, he's just out. Not a chance. That's just not good. Like, and there's only so much Cather can do. I think that Cather is completely right in being horribly concerned for his sister, who is very capable, but like, there's no reason for her to risk her life for this specific journey, like, other than like, hey, that's my brother, and I knew, well, actually, no, we're not resurrecting Melora. So, like, that's my brother, and I want to have fun. That's probably not, like, a good... It's probably not, like, a good reason. Like, I'm sad because a person that I love died, so I'm going to throw myself into potentially life-ending battle. That's not good coping. That's not very healthy. It's not a good way to deal with grief. Not sure if everyone knew. But she's coming along, and I figured that would be the case. It's not like we're going to be like, we forbid it. Dog. First of all, she's an NPC. DJ can do what he wants. Second of all, I'm not going to turn down an additional fighter if it comes to Pandemonium, especially one that, like, if they die from a player perspective, I'm like, well, at least it wasn't a PC. As a character, Amity doesn't know who this is. All right, I don't know. But I'm excited to see how that goes. I think it'll be good in general to have a new perspective. It's been a while since we've had like an NPC really be in the group, so I'm pretty pumped for that. And yeah, so we entered Pandemonium at the end of that episode, and that's where we'll be picking up, theoretically, next Monday. I'm excited for what we get to do in there. I'm pretty pumped. It's been a while since I've been in a campaign that takes us to, like, non-material plane areas that are, like, real wild and tough. So I'm just gonna see how that goes. See how that goes for us. Oh man, what else is there to talk about today? As I said, it might be a pretty short stream just because, one, I'm alone. It's really hard to carry on a conversation and get other points of perspective when I'm the only one here. I suppose I can talk about a couple of things that are not necessarily related to the Paper Dungeon, but do affect and are important to the Paper Dungeon. First off, some of you, actually most of you in the chat right now, have gotten invitations to the Discord for game testing. Maz, I will never stop you from talking about Mort. Alright? I'll never stop. You can talk about Mort whenever and wherever, and I will allow it. That's an Aaron promise. But yeah, some of you have gotten invited to the Discord Game Tester channel, where also, if you haven't noticed, I named it Game Testers Anonymous because I expect it to be just as chaotic as GTA. I will hopefully be setting up the rest of GTA today. Oh, DJ, hello! Welcome to the Paper Dungeon. It's nice to have you here. So hopefully the Discord will be set up today, and we will vote on what other RPGs we can start playtesting very shortly. Because I don't have all the ones that I'm thinking of yet, but I have a good couple, at least things that we can for sure start on. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. I've been putting in a lot of work mentally and physically and editly into the RPG that I started working on. I'm pretty excited for that. So I can't like talk too much about it because it isn't done enough for me to say a whole bunch, but oh boy, am I excited for what this could be if I do it well enough. Mort is Maz's undead kobold rune knight fighter. That is a mouthful. How within the past 72 hours has had 4 gods, spirits, and vampires talk in his head. One give him a mental hug, and he deliberately broke his best weapon because it possessed him. No, that is so sad. I mean, it's great about the rest of it, but breaking your best weapon because it possessed you, oh, that's as a player who loves items, that is devastating. That's like for me as a player. I would be more devastated by being forced to like break a weapon that I used and had meaning to me than like an NPC related to my character dying. Like, an NPC is just in your mind, but a weapon has stats. No, not the blood spear. That's not a fair trade. I've played through this RPG so many times, Maz. A lightning javelin is like fine, but the blood spear, boo, let it possess you. That's what I say. I think that possession should be more common. I think you should just let it happen. Side note, I am a little sad that I never got possessed as Tarak. That's my one regret from playing Tarak. He also eats flowers / potentially flowers. I don't know how healthy that is consistently. I'm gonna be honest. So this is a question that just came to my mind. So there's always been kind of this trope that like if someone casts the invisibility spell, and you like throw a bag of flour into the air, and so it like coats the person who's invisible. Does that work in D&D? Because like, like you would see their footprints and stuff like in the flour, but if the invisibility spell turns anything that the person is like worn or carrying invisible, and it's not like the mud on your boots doesn't turn invisible, so I would think that the flour would also turn invisible because it is making consistent, constant contact. Like, I could understand the invisible person like moving through and you can see the movement in the air as the like flour moves or anything. But I think that the flour would turn invisible. I don't think that it coats them. Like, I think that if you dropped a bucket of paint on someone who has invisibility cast on them, I think that the paint just turns invisible. I would say, like, yeah, your, like, footprints and maybe, like, dust that is no longer attached to you may leave a trail. But I think that you are adjusted as invisible. Like, if you're just looking for the person themselves, I don't think that the flour trick, like, works. But the paint drips, then it can be seen. Yes, you see, we're totally on the same page here, alright? Now, when the invisibility wears off, it's going to be hilarious. Because if you return to your party after being doused in paint while invisible, and they do not know that you were doused in paint, it is going to be startling, to say that, when you, like, drop invisibility, and they're like, oh my god, what happened? Yeah. Thank you for indulging in my off-topic rant about the invisibility spell, which is also, this is the actual rant about the invisibility spell. Worst worded spell in existence for the system that it runs on, right? I'm not sure, I'm gonna bring it up. That's how upset I am about it. I mean, yeah, you know that you're covered in paint, but your party does not. So, like, if they drop, like, a whole bucket of red paint on you, and you uninvisibility right next to them, and they're gonna be like, oh my god, whose body did you walk through to get covered in blood? Also, Maz, feel free to put any questions like that in the chat. I'm still going to ramble on about the invisibility, but yes, I would love to hear about your multi-class stuff. Invisibility 5e. Okay. Okay. So here's the spell, Invisibility. A creature you touch becomes invisible until the spell ends. Anything the target is wearing or carrying is invisible as long as it is on the target's person. The spell ends for a target that attacks or casts a spell. Alright, and so you're like, that makes sense, but what does it do? Right? If you're invisible, what does that actually do for you? Alright, and so if you go to like Invisible in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, this is what it says. First off, the one that is very clear, that actually helps, and you know what it does. Attack rolls against the creature have disadvantage, and the creature's attack rolls have advantage. Makes complete sense, alright? Here's the first part. An invisible creature is impossible to see without the aid of magic or a special sense. For the purpose of hiding, the creature is heavily obscured. The creature's location can be detected by any noise it makes or any tracks it leaves. Okay, so let's go to... Alright, thinking going Tempest Cleric and Profane Soul Blood Hunter with Fathom Patron so I can get Booming Blade. So first off, I know two of those well. I'm not a huge Blood Hunter guy. I've never been like a super fan of Blood Hunter. So Profane Soul, off the top of my head, couldn't tell you what it does. Tempest Cleric, have played, it's an absolute blast. That's kind of a pun, and I'm not upset about it. Fathomless is maybe, it might be my favorite Warlock patron. So you've got me, I'm already set. I'm already on it. Fathomless is just so good. Like, it's so cool. I just think that it's so neat. It does cool stuff. It has good action economy. It has good damage, good buffs and debuffs. You're a warlock, so you've got cool stuff going on thematically. I just think it's a good class. Side note. So as we've back to the conversation of this invisibility spell. Also, yes, a Tempest Cleric, absolutely fantastic. The ability to max out a damage for like free, like that's just a thing you do, like you don't have to make a check or anything for it, is incredibly valuable. I played an online game, like text only play-by-play, where one of them was a Tempest Cleric mixed with like a storm sorcerer or something, some sorcerer-esque class. Good lord, they would just wreck. Like it was disgusting. They'd be like, all right, I'm gonna cast insert any spell that I have, and I'm just gonna have it deal max damage, and we cast it at high level and increase the damage, and also it's going to be a completely different thing. It was mind-blowing. It was incredible to watch. So, back to the invisibility spell, it says that a creature would be considered heavily obscured, such as darkness, opaque fog, or dense foliage. Blocks vision entirely. A creature effectively suffers from a blinded condition when trying to see something in that area. So, blinded says a blinded creature can't see and automatically fails any ability check that requires sight. And attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage. So it's just... Also, yes, Maz, that sounds very good for Tempest Cleric. That just sounds really good. This is my problem with the invisibility spell. I'm still on this. I can carry on 4 conversations at the same time. It basically is redundant, and it doesn't even tell you how it helps you. It tells you how it hurts other people, right? So, like, you're considered heavily obscured. So, a blinded creature can't see in any check that requires sight is automatically failed. You already do that. Does it help you hide? Like, No. So they can just use a different thing. Invisibility does not help you hide. So as a DM, you have to decide either A, it always works, or B, it doesn't work. Like if I say I cast invisibility and run through a courtyard to the other side of the courtyard where there's a bunch of guards up above on a wall, right? And they're all looking down at the courtyard. I, as a DM, have to decide, okay, do I even roll a check? Or does it just work? Or, like, do they have to roll a stealth check? Or do they not? There's, like, nothing that it actually says about the thing that you use invisibility for, which is being invisible. So it's like, it's just a dumb spell. Like, normally I would say, okay, if you want to stealth across to the other side, just roll a stealth check. That just means that the invisibility spell makes wizards better rogues than rogues. Or makes your rogues have no point to use any of their toolkit. It makes no sense. It's a dumb spell. I wish that it was like, being invisible means that you have advantage on stealth checks. The rest of the stuff it can keep. The whole, like, advantage on an attack or whatever. Totally fine with it. Totally fine. Don't have it say... Don't have invisible mean it is impossible to see without the aid of magic or a special sense. For the purpose of hiding, the creature is heavily obscured. The creature's location can be detected by noise it makes or any tracks it leaves. Okay. Like... It's... That sounds really good, Maz. Once again, I don't know why. Blood Hunters just never spoke to me, so I don't know a whole lot about them. They sound like a very good class. Everyone I know who's played them have had a lot of fun with Blood Hunters. I think one of the problems that I struggle with Blood Hunters is in Dungeons & Dragons, health as a resource is incredibly dangerous. It's like incredibly difficult to balance as a DM. It's one of the reasons I think that they haven't used Constitution as a spellcasting ability. Because, same reason as Dex is a really dangerous one for spellcasting, is because they both contribute to your survivability. So like a wizard, their weak point should be how much health they have. Because if you manage to catch a wizard, they're in trouble. Because they get hit once, and they're like, oh god, I'm at half health. Which my half health is 25 when I'm at level 20. But if you make Constitution the spellcasting thing for them, suddenly they're like rivaling some fighters. Like they're like, okay, we're level 15. How much health do you have, wizard? And it's like, oh, I have 130. And then the fighter's like, I have 155. What is going on here? That's my struggle with any class that uses health as a resource for either casting spells or using abilities. It's just really hard to balance. Because if you give it to people who are like frontliners, suddenly that means that they're just a worse frontliner than everyone else in the game, or they're way too good. Like it's just a mess. Dexterity does the same thing because so many people use dexterity for their they use it for initiative, you use it for defense, like your AC and stuff. Having dex be a priority for people is a very difficult thing to balance. But yeah, I don't know. Blood Hunter, super cool class. Wish I knew more about it, but at the same time, I still have zero interest in learning anything more about it, which is kind of hypocritical, but I don't know. It just doesn't interest me. Same reason that I only got like 2 to 3 hours into The Witcher. Like, I think The Witcher is super rad. I watched the show. I liked it. I was devastated when I heard that, what's-his-face wasn't playing Geralt. I think that it's neat. I just don't find a whole lot of interest in it. I love the characters people play that are Blood Hunters. I always think that they're fun. I don't know. I just don't know. What I do care about is whether or not the Blood Hunter can cast a spell invisibility, because it's a dumb spell that is worded badly and they did a bad job with it. I will die on this hill. that invisibility is confusing. I think it's happened in our campaign. Someone has been like, oh yes, I would like to use a spell invisibility to do this thing. And then DJ's like, okay, do this. And they were like, well, I don't think that I need to do that because I'm invisible. And DJ's like, well, what does the spell say? And they're like, well, the spell doesn't say anything about that. DJ's like, well, okay, then you have to do it. They're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm invisible. Dumb spell. If you're designing a game and word a spell like that, I don't respect it. I just want everyone to know that. And I'll probably do the same thing because I'm not a professional. But to be fair, they are a professional and they messed it up. So, take that as you will. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk about the spell invisibility, and also Maz. That sounds like a very fun multi-class, and I hope that it goes very well. I can honestly find no faults with it. You pretty much put a Tempest Cleric with anything that involves lightning, and things get real nutty real quick. I suppose, so the Booming Blade part is the Blood Hunter being able to switch the damage into lightning. Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Theoretically, depending on how the classes stack up, you may be able to take a feat. That is very fair, Maz. I'll get to that in a second. So theoretically, depending on how many feats that you have already or you need for your subclass or your multi-class to function, if you want more power from either your cleric or your blood hunter, you could take one of the feats that allows you to get a cantrip to just get Booming Blade that way. And then that way you save some of the levels of Warlock, unless Warlock is a necessary part to the build other than just getting Booming Blade. That would be the only thing I could think that would be potential stronger or different depending on what you're wanting. But yes, if you have Booming Blade, which is kind of funny, because for Crusher you just use like a hammer. Booming Blade, and then you hit him with a stick. But yeah, forcing them, like pushing them back 10 feet, so that way if they want to attack you, they have to get back to you, is a very good way of saving health that doesn't work on people with longer weapons. But that, like, never happens, right? Like, most of the time it's going to be people with shields and swords. So yeah, so against medium-sized creature, that's a very good combo, is just pushing people around with Crusher. I think that the feats that deal with a type of damage are really, really good. They're just, like, good all the time. Like, I can't think of one that I'm like, this one is just not as good as the others. They're just good. They just do good stuff. They have 2 effects. One of them deals with critical hits. What more can you ask for? Like, at that point in time, it's like the champion's dream. Champion fighter critting on like an 18. Oh my god. Having those feats and just using her just stabbing people. And it's like, oh yeah, I crit. It does this 75,000 different things. It stuns or whatever. Okay. Neat. Yeah, good feat. Good, God, I love the Fathomless patron. It's a good patron. Hey, you never know, Matt. And worst comes to work, if you really want to try it out, one of these days you'll end up in like a level 20 one-shot or something, and you can whip that up, be like, bask in my glory. I have a wooden stick, and it deals lightning damage. Ooh, hand skates, quick on the draw. Oh boy. Let's see, what else of interest could I talk about today? Oh! I suppose we can talk about the OGL changes. That's pretty sick. Your point, Maz? Yeah, I suppose this deserves some conversation. The WotC has retracted most of their advances towards inputting a new OGL into place for 5th edition. That is a very clear clarification that I want to make here. That's really good. Them keeping... Thank you, Maz, for your support. I knew that threatening you like 3 weeks ago would really come to fruition. But yeah, they retracted that, and they actually put a lot of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition stuff into like free open use license. I can't remember, it's like CC BY 40 or something like that, which is unretractable and unchangeable, and it's just going to be there forever. So that's really awesome. Now, one of the things that is important is it does not say that they are going to keep using the OGL 1.0 for Dungeons & Dragons 5th or 6th edition or whatever, or 1D&D or whatever the next evolution of Dungeons & Dragons happens to be. Frankly, I don't have a problem with it. Like, this is the game that people are producing content for. If they aren't able to produce content for the next game, then they won't. They'll keep using it for 5th edition, and then if Wizards of the Coast is like, oh shoot, all of our third-party content isn't a thing over here, we should do something about that, then they will. And if they don't, then oh well. Overall, it won't affect people's livelihoods or steal their content, which is good. We like that. I think that the addition to the CCBY 40 or whatever it's called is a really, really good step. One of the things that I have been seeing that kind of irritates me, so the responses of people to it have been pretty positive. People are very excited for the idea that, like, hey, like, we totally won. And I'm just saying, we totally did. The D&D community came through on that one. The thing that irritates me is people still being or being upset with people who are now like rebuying a D&D Beyond subscription or something. I think that's a little ludicrous, because from the danger of they bit you, you should never return to them, is that there's a possibility that Wizards of the Coast is like, oh, well, we showed them a good thing and we like wanted to work with them and nothing came from it, so we're just going to go nuclear. We don't want that. We want we want a carrot and a stick situation here, right? Like, we want to show them, hey, we want to support you. We like the game that you make. Don't hurt us. And some of that is going to be, okay, you did the thing that we wanted you to do. Some of us will return. Some people won't. That's totally okay too. If you don't want to go back to Dungeons & Dragons or D&D Beyond, that's totally okay. But for the people who were really sad that they had to leave, and they really want to return, don't get mad at them for it. It's Dungeons & Dragons. It's a game that people like to play. And obviously I know that no one currently in the chat for sure is like, how dare you return to Dungeons & Dragons? Because I know who y'all are. But that's just been something I've been observing. I think that it's kind of foolish to win something that we fought for and then not use it. Like, it's crazy to go die on a hill and then leave. Like, that seems a bit nutty. But yeah, overall, good changes. I have high hopes that there's a possibility that Campaign 2 for the Paper Dungeon. Oh, thanks, Maz. There's nothing on there, and I've put zero work into it other than creating the channel, so we're working on it. But for Campaign 2 for the Paper Dungeon, which I will be DMing if you didn't already know, I have high hopes that there's a good chance that we'll still be able to use 5th edition, which makes my life just so much easier. Because, oh boy, Did I have so much stuff that I needed to rewrite that was like D&D Common Light, like ugh, would have just been a mess. It would have been fine, but now I don't have to go to that work. I can put that work into other things. So I'm really excited that they did that. Also, as Maz pointed out, hopefully I will be streaming on my own Twitch channel probably towards beginning/middle of March, at the earliest late February, although I highly doubt that because I still need to order a computer, which I will theoretically be doing tomorrow. So yeah, hopefully that pans out. I'm really excited I'm going to be playing a whole bunch of games on there. So many things. One of the first things that I want to be doing, for those of you who witnessed the tragedy and the thrill of victory with me over on the Discord channel, I want to have whoever is in my chat/viewing help draft some backyard baseball players. And then we're gonna run through a season on hard mode and probably get decimated. So that's one of the things that I have plans for, and I'm really excited to stream. I'm not sure of the exact schedule yet. I'll get to that as soon as I can. I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I need to do, like the GTA Game Tester channel, and planning for campaigns, and not dying/starving to death. Those are pretty important things for me to do. I got distracted. I bruised my finger at work on Wednesday, and now it's just really annoying. But yeah, so be sure to check out the channel whenever I get around to doing that. Look at me plugging my own channel on something that I also do. Hopefully it'll turn out pretty good. I'm excited. I'm excited for many things. Many things. Let's see. Alright. This is your chance, chat. This is your chance to show me what you got. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about? You would like me to talk about? Any thoughts or opinions that you have that you would like me to respond with my thoughts and opinions? My homework is to study Blood Hunter. I will try. But I just graduated college a little bit ago, and I'm kind of loving the whole not having homework anymore thing. So it's gonna be rough, Mass. But I'll have to. Let me tell you, Maz, better than anyone else, I may know that. There's a high chance that I know that. I mean, I'm pretty sure right now, if you gave me a test on Blood Hunter, I could pass. With the knowledge that I have, I could get a C. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm an incredible test taker. I may even get an A if I get really lucky. If you give me multiple choice, you're done for. You are done. Alright? Don't test me on this. But yeah, if no one has any remainder things that they would like me to talk about, or they have questions regarding the paper dungeon, or the people on it, or TTRPGs, then great, then I can just end it here. We already did plugs at the beginning. I'll throw a few quick ones out there. We have some social media. Maz is on it. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We have Lydia's fantastic store where you can buy Lydia's art. You can buy Lydia's art. Lydia did all of her overlays, all of her character art. She's very good. You can buy her art on shirts. You can also commission her, and I'm pretty sure commissions are open. I'm not 100% sure. We also have a website, speaking of stores, www.thepapadungeon.com, where we have our own store. And alongside that, or not at all, there are other ways to support us as well. You can donate to us through Streamlabs donation here on the screen somewhere, Ko-Fi, or Patreon if you're interested in a little bit of extra content, which hopefully you will get this month. If all goes well, you will get an extra episode. We can probably find time to record something. It'll just be a play it by ear. If not, we sincerely apologize. But we're going to do our best to get you that content. Yeah! But that is pretty much all that I have for today. I would like to thank everyone who's stopped by, everyone who's currently watching, everyone who will eventually see this potentially as a VOD, or if it goes on YouTube for some reason. I don't know if Grant still does that or not. He did at one point in time. Thank you for everyone who is here and who has been and who will be. The only thing that I have left to say to all of you is good luck and Godspeed, everyone. We will see you next time, Dungeoneers. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Tell them all is well. Merry Christmas. Goodbye.